Hey all, so we got a nice short one for you today. A couple of familiar fights, including this one. This is, yet again, Hulkling against rank 4 Nick Fury on Node 24, the EMP Modification Miniboss. Now, the first time I took this, I took it with power backs. It was very clean. The second time I took this, I did solo, but I got parried by Nick and very nearly died due to the fact that those overclock charges, which are now stacked up to 10, although they're not going to turn into shocks because Hulkling is shock immune, they do a good chunk of energy damage if he hits you, so you really do not want him to hit you, and so, of course, it is best not to get parried. So, I feel like we're mostly on top of things. Ideally, I would have baited out that special 2 before going unblockable. It's not the end of the world because we can go unblockable into his block yet again. We have time, we have plenty of charges. That is one benefit of the fact that you have to dance around quite a bit in this fight, is that Hulkling usually has enough charges. Big ol' special 2, no power backs, he is unblockable, so we're gonna get hit. It is what it is. The disorient turns off some of our regens. That's definitely annoying, but not the end of the world. We still heal up a good amount. We are just blocking as much as we can, trying to get him to not throw those special ones, and just generally control the fight. That block damage really hurt. Or sorry, that special 1 really hurt. The block damage is not awesome, but we are on top of this. Just going to take advantage of the unblockable here to push him over the special 2 because that's our safety zone. And now we know we only need 4 hits here to cycle through his unblockable, or I guess I forgot that I was going to just do 1 there. That does make sense, because that lines me up better to go unblockable, and then that will send him past the unblockable phase and finish the fight. So, 8-1 special 1 that was unblockable, because it is Nick, and honestly that's just going to happen. But the good thing about eating specials is that whenever he launches the specials, he burns up the overclock charges, and so they never hit as hard as basics. And so if you can stick to that, this fight is very, very safe for Hulkling. So I'm glad I got another chance to do it without power backs, but with a little bit less reliance on the AI being kind for me to survive. Moving on to Korg here. Magneto House of X is not the ideal counter. There are better ones, like off the top of my head, Havoc could be very, very good with the attack tactic. But House of X is not going to trigger his Thorns ever. He can use his own pre-fight, completely avoid Korg's shrugging problem. And then basically we just have to out-damage the regen. Now the regen is pretty potent, and I was hoping that basically just getting this armor up would allow me to do enough. The problem is that Korg is not the easiest champion in the game to bait specials from without dexing multiple times, which normally is a problem against Korg because he goes unblockable, but here is an extra problem because he also regens. And so we don't want that. We did do a really good chunk of damage with that special 1, special 2 rotation, but now you're going to see the problem here, baiting out this special 2. That regen is just really chunky. 2k per tick is no joke. And so what I probably should have done from the start in this particular fight is just go straight to the special 3. Because as long as I've landed a few heavies on my way, now that was dumb, but thankfully didn't get completely punished by it. But as long as I've landed a few heavies on my way to the special 3, see there, it works fine as long as I'm just not too slow. Then we're going to get a very long, powerful cruelty. And that's going to mean that any of these hits that we land that do get through Korg's natural crit resistance are going to be a lot more meaningful, and it just makes it easier to outdamage the regen. So you see that we've actually lost some ground since that special 2 we threw, but this is going to help us make it back up. So if you end up taking this yourself, just go straight for the special 3. Definitely works better. Also, the special 3 itself does a fair amount of damage, but we are probably going to trigger another regen here. Yep, because that's how Korg works. But that's okay. We're still nowhere near the counter of 10 regens that actually causes him to go unblockable. That would be the scary bit. And so then we just have to crit once on that special 1 and the fight's over. So yeah, very good counter. Could have played it a little differently to be faster. And if you really were worried about that fight, you could just throw power backs on and spam special twos. Magneto SSx does pretty darn well with those, even into crit resistance. But you don't need to. So then we take Man-Thing here. Obviously, we no longer have Defiance, so Reed is not buff immune. We are going to pick up some poisons, but the basic theory of this fight is that Reed is going to control the healing, the power gain from Mystic Dispersion, and the poison enough that it's not going to be a problem. Like, we've slowed him down so much. He's gaining so little power that if we can just kind of stay on top of this, push to our special 2, now any poison he triggers is going to be half as strong because we have 2 debuff siphoners up. Any Mystic Dispersion he triggers is going to be only 20% as strong, and he's only gaining half as much power from our hits that actually land on him, less if he's stunned. So you can see that we were barely losing any health, if any. I think we might have been gaining from a single poison. We do lose health from multiple poisons, but the armor breaks are helping us out, and you can just imagine how much worse this would be going if all of those poisons were twice as strong, and that tells you exactly how helpful the debuff siphoner is. So we're still above 90%. Now, any poisons that trigger now will be fully half of what they were because we're going from a 50% reduction to a 75% reduction. And you see there, that poison's only 53. So this is going extremely well. Man-Thing has only thrown 2 specials this entire time. You can tell by the careful study counter. And we get him down just as he gets to his 3rd bar of power. That is exactly how I was hoping that would go. Reed is still good even against those kinds of mystics, even without Defiance. So now we take out Mangog yet again this season. Like I said in the last war, I think thus far there's only been 1 war where there was not a Mangog placed here, and therefore 1 war where I didn't take this fight. All of you Spider-Man 2099 users out there who had to take this every war for the last, I don't know how many seasons, I feel your pain. This is just such a boring fight. But the good news is Reed is very safe for it. As I've explained before, you push to your first special 2, you throw it, and whether you have power backs on or not, it doesn't really matter because Mangog is so tanky and Reed's specials don't hit that hard. You're going to throw a single special 2, and then you're probably going to need to throw your special 1, unless this happens and he goes to his special 2. Now, notice that hurt, but we had a 25% attack reduction during the special itself from the first careful study, and now we're up to 50 because the last hit landed. We're going to throw this special 2 here to keep ramping, but I am going to block and actually try to avoid his special 1, because I don't want him to go into his rampage, and I'm actually trying to push him to another special 2. Because on activation, it turns into a passive, reduces the damage even more, and as you can see, like, that hurt, but we now have enough control of this fight that I'm not worried about pushing him to a 3rd one, and we were in no real danger of dying to that one either. Now, obviously, you get better mileage out of this if you power start, if you power back, if you invulnerability, but there are not a lot of champions that can eat 2 full specials. The evade didn't even trigger once, and normally it does help me out. 2 full specials for Mangog on this node, and still come out the other side. Reed has been absolutely incredible for me. Still very much in the running for my first rank 5 when that becomes a thing. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Short but sweet, in my opinion. And I will catch you all in the next one. Until then, thanks so much for watching, and take care.